River surfing can be dangerous, especially for people without experience. Some of the most obvious seeming risks are harmless, while others could quickly become life-threatening. So which hazards do you need to be aware of, and what are the measures you can take to reduce them? Every single one of us has already puked after a river surf session and experienced the kind of explosive diarrhea of your nightmares. The water we surf in is extremely dirty, and if you know how our sewage treatment plants in Switzerland work, specifically during heavy rains, that should not come as a surprise. It happens that when you fall, you take in a big gulp of water. An obvious seeming danger are whirlpools. We all have been pulled down by them a couple of times. Whirlpools are not really an issue if you know how to deal with them. What we do is we dive out of them at the bottom. You never fight them. The same goes for currents, eddies and hydraulic jumps. An experienced surfer will even use them to his benefit. There are, however, surf spots in Switzerland where the water behind the wave is very deep. The whirlpools can become much more powerful than the ones we have in the tour. It can happen that your leash being attached to the floating surfboard prevents you from diving deep enough. We have already experienced this ourselves. In this case, you must be able to detach yourself from the leash in order to dive deeper and out of the whirlpool. Another hazard that is mistakenly seen as very dangerous is driftwood.
Aber jetzt sage ich ganz klar der falsche Zeitpunkt zum Wellenreiten. Die Hochwasserexperten empfehlen allgemein zur Zeit nicht auf die Flüsse zu gehen, weil die Strömung durch das viele Wasser viel stärker ist als normal und weil das Hochwasser von den letzten Tagen viel Schwemmholz gebracht hat, die noch immer gefährlich sein können.
One of our main measures to reduce this risk, we only go surfing with dropping water levels, with only a fraction of driftwood remaining. Still, there is some left and sometimes even entire tree trunks. So why wouldn't I consider this as dangerous? For us, riding a surfboard is about the same as skiing or riding a bicycle for other people. We can maneuver our surfboard in any direction, we can accelerate, we can abort the ride. We are not stuck on the wave. So if you can surf, you are able to avoid most of the driftwood, just like bikers in a forest are able to avoid driving into trees. Sometimes, of course, the driftwood is submerged and you don't see it well. That's bad for our surfboards. They get a ding. But it's not really dangerous for us. You hear a little thud, that's it. Sometimes the whole tree comes down the river sidewards, blocking the entire river. What do we do in these cases? We simply board the ride. As soon as we exit the wave, we get carried away by the current with exactly the same speed like the driftwood, and it gets pretty hard for a tree to catch up with us. In all these years, we have never even had a close call with driftwood. But then there are certain risks that most people are unaware of. One of them are fixed ropes in currents, and even our own safety leash. Fixed rope constructions in strong currents can become death traps. A strong current will pull you underwater when you get entangled with a fixed rope. Most people are not aware of that phenomenon, also because in most rescue missions a lot of ropes are involved. But what people don't know is that rescue swimmers, for example, have a quick release system to detach instantly from a rope when in danger. There are some surf spots where we use ropes to enter the wave. In these cases, we always have a rescue knife with us, so that if something happens, your surf buddies can cut the rope immediately. The surfer should never be anywhere else than at the very end of the rope to avoid getting caught in the loop. Also, only handlebars without trapeze or any other potential entanglement should be used. All these measures reduce the risk of entanglement with ropes to almost zero. Knowing how dangerous ropes in water can be, it seems strange that we would wear a leash. In fact, if your leash gets entangled and is attached to your foot, you will almost certainly drown. This has sadly already happened to river surfers. The problem is, you will hang head downwards in the current, and the current will pull you underwater. In this position, it is impossible to free yourself from the leash because the entire current is pushing against your body and you have no chance of reaching your foot to detach yourself from the leash. We have tested this scenario under safe conditions. No chance. That's why most experienced flood river surfers have enhanced their leash with a predetermined breaking point. When your leash gets stuck, it will rip apart and you're free. Well, wouldn't it be better not using a leash at all? Maybe in regular river surfing so, but not in flood river surfing. Besides being attached to a floating device, the surfboard can also serve as a beacon to locate you in the murky water. If you have a problem in the water that you are unable to solve yourself, your surf buddies can quickly come to your aid. So what we do is attach the leash to our arm instead of the foot. This way we can free ourselves when the leash gets entangled, even without a predetermined breaking point. You will hang in the current, also being pulled underwater, but at least head upwards. In this position, the only part facing the current when you try to free yourself is your other arm. And that can be done quite easily. We go through these moves as a drill before every surf session, so we don't even have to think about what to do in case of an emergency. We have had an incident where a guy from our crew dislocated his shoulder when he tried to catch a paddle in wave. It's nearly impossible to swim with a dislocated shoulder. Thanks to the leash, he was able to pull his surfboard towards him with the other arm. He was now safe from drowning, but still incapable of swimming back to the riverbank. And that's where you are dependent again on your surf buddies. I've mentioned them a few times. This is one of the most important precautions we take to reduce the risk. Never go surfing alone. Just like the buddy system in diving, we have a system where we have each other's back. You are always responsible for the guy in front of you. When he falls or exits the wave, you oversee his situation until you are sure he is out of the danger zone unharmed. Only then you get ready to enter the wave. The guy behind you now is responsible for your safety. He keeps his eyes open for driftwood at spots where you don't have a good overview yourself and gives you the okay when everything is clear. The moment entering the wave is the most critical in terms of driftwood because your face is so close to the water surface. So in spots with more driftwood, wearing a helmet is a pretty good idea. Also because there is a certain risk that when you fall uncontrolled, you could hit some driftwood with your head. This has never happened to us, but better safe than sorry. Entering and exiting the river is also critical in terms of leash entanglement. You can easily avoid entanglement entering the wave by holding the leash in your hand. When exiting the river, it is important that you have familiarized yourself with the spot and know the exit points. Since the water is flowing around trees during flood levels, the risk of not only leash entanglement, but getting stuck in general is critical during the exit. Tree branches can act like a strainer. Water can pass through, but you can't. The best option to avoid this is not stressing to the riverbank. If you miss an exit point, just wait for the next good one and stay calm. Stress is your enemy. It doesn't matter if you have to walk back for a long time, still a lot better than not walking back at all. Last but not least, let's talk about weirs.